Hello, everyone, and welcome to my live today. My live with one of my clients, one of my one-to-one clients, Pauline. Um, Pauline, we have worked together for about 20 weeks, haven't we?
Yeah,
and
that's gone.
and I know that when you were a one-to-one client of mine, and I know that when we worked together, we did work through quite a lot, didn't we? From the very start of my food freedom program all the way through to gut health.
Mm.
So why don't you just give us a little bit of a background about yourself before we actually started working together? What was the likes of your, I don't know, the likes of your eating habits and what you found most most worrying for you, I guess.
Mm. Yeah, so I think sort of just before I started with your sessions, I mean, lockdown was, I suppose, a big trigger in terms of emotional eating. I suppose I always had it, but that just went into overdrive. So I'd say like over that last sort of like that from sort of early 2020. Just that initial, oh well, we're in lockdown and I'm just going to eat whatever I want because what else is there to do? But then obviously not maybe sort of managing it at all then and becoming just that kind of cycle of, you know, emotions being all over the place, reaching for food, comfort foods, feeling naff, and the cycle starts again. And you're just kind of like in that kind of downward spiral really and never really getting out of it. So I think that certainly that's, you know, more recent experience of it. But I suppose really I've always been like that, but just being able to maybe deal with it better maybe previously. But I think everything just um it's kind of, I suppose, like I say, it just kind of spiraled very quickly because of the situation that we're in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I really do get where you're coming from with that because the likes of the lockdowns, and if
Mm-hmm.
you've had that, let's just say, interesting relationship with
Mm-hmm.
food to start off with, because I know when we've discussed it in the sessions that you have been on one or two diets.
Mm-hmm.
They've had, I wouldn't say they were completely unsuccessful, but they weren't probably successful all the time for you, and kind of left you with that feeling of okay, what the heck do I do now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think yeah, I've been on diets all my adult life. I think one or another, um, and yeah, I think they're short term fixes for me personally. So I'd lose weight, and then it just come back again. So it was just this constant cycle of you know putting weight on, joining a diet club, losing weight, and then starting from the beginning. And I think for me this time, I just thought I can't face doing that all over again. And I knew that it was like it was treating the symptoms rather than the root cause. That's how it felt. I just thought I'm just gone this constant cycle of losing weight, putting it back on, losing weight, putting it back on, and not understanding the reasons behind it. And that's really what that's why I was looking for something like this. You know.
Mm, okay, wow. So it was that constant kind of, what's it? Eat, repent, repeat, isn't it? Really, just the kind of constant eating something, um, wanting to do something about it, feeling guilty,
Mm-hmm.
and then eating again.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
about? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So lockdown happened.
Mm-hmm.
As we all know, lockdown happened.
Yeah.
So what was it this time that kind of you just thought, no, I can't go on another diet again? What was that bit of a change for you? Because obviously you have been down the route of dieting a few times. What was it that clicked in your head? It's like, no, not again.
Yeah, I think just, as I say, just couldn't face going back to the start again. I knew that I just couldn't face that. And then I had spoken to a friend of mine, and she was obviously a client of yours, and it just sounded just what I needed. I needed to have that kind of just deeper delve into why, I have that relationship with food. I know, gosh, I could almost quote what you need to do in a diet club. I've done it that many times, but I didn't have that same. I just didn't have any enthusiasm for it, to be honest. And that's the thing. I just thought I've got absolutely no sort of motivation to go down this road again. I needed to try something new, and that I really felt very strongly about that, because I just had a real sort of strong feeling that in 18 months, another 2 years, I'm going to be back to square one again, because that's been the way it has been. And I can't face that again. So I knew I needed to try something new. I knew I needed to understand like why I'm just constantly in this cycle.
Yeah, yeah. Just to say as well, if you are watching this live, please do say hello. And if you've got any questions, then do. I can actually see the actual questions if they do come through. But God, it sounded like it was a bit of a revelation that you just couldn't go through that cycle again, and just wanted to find out what the heck was going on, rather than say, okay, I'll go down the losing weight. But that to me is well, never seems to, as you said, get to that root issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, treating the symptom, but not actually finding out what led me there in the first place. And that's what I really wanted.
Yeah. So when you actually started the food freedom program with me, what were your thoughts? What did you think might be the case with going through one-to-one coaching with me, and what changed in your mind along the way? Because obviously I would presume that you had a lot of apprehension, a lot of thoughts of what might happen, but for what you thought did happen, did that happen for you, or what did?
Yeah. So I didn't know what to expect really, because I'd never done anything like this before. I wasn't prepared for how emotional it would be, and fairly early on. And it's in a strange kind of way, even though, you're sort of like scraping away layers, and maybe parts of it might be a little bit uncomfortable, but then that kind of feeling that you have actually just let that out, instead of suppressing things that I hadn't even known I was suppressing really a lot of the time. So that was a surprise. I think the emotional side of it was a real surprise for me, but that really did feel like I was just getting rid of baggage. And we talked about it, the analogy of like taking off that heavy winter coat.
Yeah.
And certainly it just felt like, wow, I didn't even know that was upsetting me, but once we'd sort of delved into things, it was quite remarkable. So I wasn't prepared for that at all. Didn't know what to expect, but and I think as well, just how, because I'm quite a private person, and I don't really sort of reveal my feelings very often. Certainly not to anybody I've never met before. So again, that was a surprise, and I think I just began to sort of trust the relationship really, and it did. It felt really good, I have to say, and
Which
surprised myself.
absolutely, absolutely. I can remember, without going into too much detail, those first few sessions were extremely emotional. But when you think about it, those emotions have been locked up for so many years and pushed down. As we do when we emotionally eat, we push those emotions down. So they've been wanting to come out for so long.
Yeah.
And wow, what a relief when they did.
Yeah, absolutely. I found things out about myself, and as well reaffirmed things about myself that I knew about myself, but I'd kind of forgotten about myself. And then also, found a few other little things out, like, God, why am I upset? Why am I upset about that? Why is that bothering me? And so that was quite a revelation. But yeah, there was other things as well where I just thought, actually I quite like that about myself, but I'd not given myself that credit for a long time. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think we touched on quite a lot to do with one. Self-sabotage was a very big area we touched on. And your inner critic as well. We definitely touched on that.
Yeah, definitely.
And delved quite deep. Because as we know, the likes of self-sabotage is a huge thing, I think, when it comes to emotional eating, and that really touched not necessarily a nerve, but I think you could actually see, yeah, I'm getting this. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd realised that. It's that kind of perfectionism, like needing everything to be, or appearing to be, I should say, wanting to appear to have everything under control, and everything is perfect and rosy in the garden, and being hard on myself, or maybe things didn't go the right way, and then obviously those feelings then come out in that kind of in the emotional side, the emotional eating side of things. So just accepting that things are that's just the way things are, and it's out of your control. There's nothing you can do about it. So, rather than beating yourself up about certain things that have got nothing to do with what you've done or how what you've said or whatever, it was just life, and sometimes that's what we have to do.
I can remember through our sessions that the acceptance is a very big thing. A very big thing for you. Just the acknowledgement and the acceptance of where you were and where you had been, I think were very, very huge. And I think for anyone, acceptance is a very big thing, because we can often just kind of brush these things aside and just not want to deal with them.
Accepting things sometimes that they just don't go out the way that you may want them at this particular time, or you might not be a certain way, or your image might not be the way you want it to be. I think social media does have a lot to do with that as well, and maybe modern life, I suppose, really. But actually then just accepting yourself and loving yourself, that was a massive thing, huge thing. And just think, right, okay, this has happened, accept it, and then move forward, instead of letting that hold you back. And that was the massive turning point, definitely. Yeah, it was huge, wasn't it, really? Just just think, right, okay, this is the way this is now. I've just got to accept it and not beat myself up about this to the point where, you know, I'm just going to make things worse. But just look at it, right, okay, move forward. And with a kind of fresh perspective, I suppose that was it. Felt more confident in moving forward and not letting things hold me back.
Yeah, yeah. I can remember the very session that I just thought, my God, there's such a huge change there. And I think it was around about, if I'm right, around about session 4 or 5, and it was just like light bulbs
Yeah,
switched on,
yeah,
and you were glowing. You were physically glowing,
yeah.
and that was just such a fantastic, fantastic thing to see. It was, oh, I can remember coming off that call and having a little bit of a tear in my eye.
There was lots of tears in my I don't know. I'm just not that person at all. I never, I mean, you know, friends of mine will say, you know, you never cry and this, that, and the other. But yeah, I did. There was lots of that. But as I say, it was that real kind of shedding of all of that baggage and that bit about the acceptance. That I think that's where things really started to click into place. And that, you know, and it's just about having that, I suppose, that love for yourself. That's what it is, isn't it? You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, if you could kind of explain that journey for you, how how could you explain it from the position where you were at the start to the position at the end of our food freedom sessions? Was there kind of transformation for you?
Yeah, I think starting at the start, yeah, maybe somebody just feeling a little bit lost and not really knowing what to do about it. Um, and knowing that I had to do something, but just kind of not quite sure what. And I like to think I'm, you know, pretty, you know, up to speed with things, but, you know, clearly there was something missing somewhere, you know, I just couldn't work out what was wrong and knew I needed to address things. And then, as I say, going through the journey, talking about things and feelings and everything that was coming out, to then just literally almost physically feeling like that weight had been lifted off my shoulders. So it's really opened my eyes in, you know, into how important it really is to sort of talk about your feelings and that kind of old saying is like that problem shared is a problem halved. There's a lot of
Yeah,
truth in that, you know,
definitely.
and it really just did felt every week that, you know, the kind of supposed to the trees were clearing, you know. I was working my way through this sort of muddled little period, and you know, and I could just look forward. I think that's what it was. It just felt like everything that was going on had just settled down, and I could really sort of see my way out of it, if you like. Yeah, that's really how I sort of feel like you're in the midst of something, but then you can see the light, and that's what we did. We moved towards that sort of feeling of calmness, I suppose. Really.
Yeah, fantastic. So, from crikey, from chaos to calmness.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just amazing. Just that, you know, and I did so much thinking over that period as well. You know, in between the sessions. So there's lots of things that were popping into my mind. You know, so obviously this was sort of, I was thinking about things and things that we talked about, and you know, so it's like a library, and there's just almost like little things. It would trigger memories. You know, things, you know, that I've forgotten about or suppressed, like, you know. And it was like I felt like I was just getting to know myself again. That's really how it felt, you know.
Yeah, getting to know yourself and getting to like and love yourself again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So we did carry on onto gut health and menopausal health as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah.
And I know we talked a lot about the products that you were using all the way through to crikey. So it could be considered a bit out there kind of things to do.
Yeah.
The likes of walking in the garden barefoot or even what, picking dandelion leaves, I think was one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking you're absolutely mad. Yeah.
But looking into the likes of the gut health program and the menopausal health, what made you want to look into that more to start off with and carry on into that program?
Yeah, because I think I've been sort of reading quite a bit um, about that connection, about how immunity and gut health, and obviously that's so topical at the moment, you know. But just also just wanting to continue to like that overall improve my health, and I knew that like the gut was an absolute, um, you know, that was the centre of everything basically. But yeah, it was uh, it was a revelation just actually how much of our lives, not just about what we eat and everything, but just every all the other kind of maybe external factors, things that we do at home, things that you know in the environment and everything. Just how much all of that had such a massive impact. I think that was so. It was really interesting to sort of learn about that. You know, it's made me read lots of labels now. Yeah. But yeah, I think it was just that kind of a want, and knowing as well, you know, going through the menopause and just wanting to sort of explore, you know, what was out there as well. There's so much information out there; it's really difficult to make sense of it.
Mm.
So having, you know, some, you know, conversations around that and some information around that was really helpful as well, because it's where to start when you put it in Google. Where do you start with it? You know, it's
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hear you on that completely. It is just a thing that gut health and menopausal health are literally, as you know, completely as one.
yeah,
And having that gut health knowledge now that you do and putting things in place for your gut health
mm,
will mean that that menopause, you know, is a lot more easier to deal with for you.
yeah,
And you're not having to troll through thousands and thousands of pages on Google.
yeah. And it's just as well, you know, like you know, what can you believe as well? You know, there's all of that. You know, how much of this is true, or you know, so it's a minefield. Yeah. So
Mm,
it was great to bring the two together. Definitely
yeah. And I know that you particularly enjoyed the meditation and
love
those sessions.
the meditation. That's definitely something that will stay with me. Just yeah, felt just fabulous. It's just so I don't know whatever it does. Just thought this is again something I'd not done previously. Um, and yeah, but it, just again that kind of giving yourself that time to just completely be present in that moment, and you know that calmness that comes from it and the positive feelings that come from it. Definitely is something, as I say, that's part of my life now. Yeah.
And I think that's what I think is the absolute key to getting past the likes of emotional eating and as well having good gut health is
Mm.
being
Yeah,
present in the moment.
yeah, yeah,
So you hit the nail on the head there.
yeah, yeah. That's what one of the things I've definitely brought. That's definitely come out of this for me is that kind of mindfulness, which I know is like a much used term at the moment, but it it really did. It even like things about being present when you're eating, and acknowledging what you're eating. I mean, especially if you go back to the emotional eating side of it, half the time you don't know you've eaten that packet of biscuits. You've not even tasted them. So it was about actually the whole sitting down and savouring what you're eating and enjoying it and knowing that it's nourishing your body and all then the feelings that come from that. It all links together, and that's, that kind of mindful eating, I think, was another real turning point. When we talked about slowing down meal times and everything, I mean, it amazes me now sometimes when I'm with people, and as I say, I'm still training this because you still have to sort of be really to make sure I do it, because sometimes you can slip back into it, but I have to go, no, at least I'm aware of the signs now. But it just amazes me just how people just wolf the food down, like, and yeah, but I just enjoy that time for me as well. Look at it very much like that now.
Time for you. Perfect. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Pauline, for joining me. If I could just ask you to kind of give a bit of I guess, a sum up and whether you would recommend for people to go onto my one-to-one coaching, who would you say it would be perfect for, and yeah, how would you sum it up for you?
Yeah, so I think anybody who's maybe struggling with that cycle that I explained at the beginning of emotional eating, weight gain, weight loss, and round again, and anybody who's interested in just exploring the root cause. The gut health one was a revelation. If you're interested in gut health, immunity, how that then links to how you're feeling, your emotions and everything. 100%. I just thought that was just so fascinating. And as I say, not just about the sort of the food side of it, but it was just the environmental side of it as well. And it was just a fascinating, you know, journey, I suppose it was like to say. It was, just learning about things that just not thought about, because we just get swept along. We're all so busy. Anybody who wants to maybe just say, right, just hang on, stop. I just want to find out a bit more about this and see where it takes you. Definitely, it's well worth it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pauline. Thank you so much, Pauline, and I know we'll be staying in touch, so I'll see you very soon.
Yeah.
But guys, if anyone wants to know more about my food freedom program or gut health program, then please do comment or get in contact with me privately and we can have a chat. But thanks for joining us, and I will see you all soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Margaret. Thanks.